Hi everyone, welcome back. As usual, let me share my screen. It's quite a challenge to try and fit in all the information that we want to in only 20 minutes, and sometimes it goes up to 25, 26 minutes. Um, but let's see, we do our best. So today's topic, can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not using a presentation today. Rather, I'm like yesterday going straight into the Facebook unit. So if you see, the first unit is skills you will develop, and today's topic is agile. Now, agile is a methodology. It's an approach of getting work done, and it was developed in the around 2001 by a group of software developers. So it came about in the software world where they realized that they are doing projects and they're spending 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years to create this huge piece of software and lots of money spent. And then when the software is actually launched, they reach the customer and the customer is only 50% satisfied. It doesn't really do what the customer wants it to do. So these guys said that we need a better way of doing it. And they said that let's see, can we deliver not the full product, but a 20% version of the product to the customer within a month? Can we do like a watered down version of the product, which is a working version, which means it doesn't have all the features, it has only 20% of the features, but can we go to the customer with that within a month so that we can get feedback, and then based on actual feedback that the customer is giving us, can we make further improvements and then go back within 1 month once again? And this way, a month at a time, we end up creating a product that the customer really values. So that's the agile methodology. It began in the software world, but it has become a philosophy. It's used today. Many companies like John Deere use it for product development. Many management firms use it in the way they manage their projects and their teams. And it's also become a way of working in our own personal life. So let me attempt to explain agile to you in very simple language. Let's say if I want to host a party and I love cooking, so I want to create this new dish and I want to have um, 20 people over. So another typical way, the traditional way, and which also makes sense in certain situations, is that first I will do a lot of research. I will find out the recipe, then I will go out and shop for all the ingredients, and I will do like a whole cooking project out of it. I will prepare everything, and then everybody would have been invited, and they would all come, and we have this big feast together, right? So it makes sense, and this is the typical traditional mega project way of managing something, and it works if I have done this. If I have cooked these recipes many times before, if I already know exactly what I'm doing, and I'm a pro at it, then it works. But what if I want to innovate? What if I'm looking to create something new? The risk with this approach is I might end up with all these 20 people coming home and giving me galis. The agile approach is very different. And if you see below in this diagram, it begins by an idea of a recipe, and I may not even have all the ingredients. But what I do is, fatafat, I get down to it and I prepare something. So if I have an idea in my mind for making, let's say, um, a vegetarian sushi, which I actually did, and I'm going to show you, I might just, I don't have the exact sushi rice. I may not have some of the sauces that I need, but let me see what I can do with what's available. And I quickly put something together. And then me and Aarti, my wife, together we taste it, and then we think, okay, how can we make it better? And then we do a second round of it. In the second round, I have a few more ingredients. I have a little different way of preparing it. This time I might involve my family. So five, six of us may sit around and enjoy that. And then based on the feedback and the learning that I get once it's worked, I actually go out and create the mega project and invite my 15, 20 friends over. So what I'm doing is I'm working it in steps, in sprints. These are called sprints. And at the end of each sprint, I have something to taste. I have something to try. So it's not that I first prepare the rice perfectly and then we taste, or I first prepare the filling perfectly and then we taste. I first prepare a simple sushi roll as good as I can manage, and we taste it and we see what can be improved. So this is the idea of agile, that we move one step at a time. See, there are a few thoughts behind this whole idea of agile. I'll just share them with you quickly. One is to focus on what's working. Once again, connected to the session that we had on Saturday, appreciative inquiry. Second, the philosophy that, being busy is not the same as being productive. I need to be being busy doing the right things. Third is I need to be ready to change. So what's not working, I should be able to change. And if I do a very long, very complex project, by the time I reach the end of it, I don't have time left to change. But if I do the project in short bursts, then between each burst, I can make the necessary changes. Point 4 is the single most important point is work in version. So if you ever use software, you'll see that there are software versions, version 1, version 2, version 2.5. And Agile says, even in your life, things that we want to do, make the version 1, but make it really fast. Don't waste too much time. Fast make the version 1. Point 5 is work together. So involve your people, your team to create that version 1. After you have that version 1, point 6 is then seek a lot of feedback before you get on to version 2. Right? So that makes the second version better. It's simple, it's common sense, there's nothing fancy. But if you do it, it makes a big difference. See, for example, if my vision was to create this star that you see on your screen right now, this is what is the vision in my mind. I want to create a star like this. Point 2, this is not the way you should start. Don't start by making perfect pointy elements of the star. You see those 3 triangles, those are the end points of the star. Don't start by trying to make one perfect component and then fit those components together. The way to start, according to Agile way of thinking, is to make something that looks like that star, looks like that vision in my head, different elements. So you'll see what I've drawn over here is like an approximation of that star. It's not just one perfect element of the star, but it's an approximation. There are dots, there are dashes, there is some element which is also not looking like the star, but it tries to look at the whole vision. I try to make an approximation of my whole vision. And then finally, as I make improvements, what I might end up with is a slightly different looking star. And that is exactly the way we have built this Explorathon. We had a list of topics, we had some ideas by which we'll do it. But then we made the first version fast, and it was scary to put it out and share it with all you wonderful people. But we put out the first version, and then we iterated and we modified. And today we are attempting to do the whole thing from the Facebook unit and not from the presentation. So that is the Agile approach. And if you look at some of these pictures that have been shared here, they're very interesting. Have a look at this on your own. It really expresses how Agile works. So have a look at it later on. Do you know, even when Apple launched the first iPhone, they didn't even have a copy and paste feature on it. They focused on getting the screen right and getting the look right, but a simple thing like copy paste feature they didn't have. They added it later. When Virgin began its flights, we found out that Virgin began with only one scheduled flight. That's it. They began an entire airline with just one scheduled flight, but they put a lot of energy in creating the kind of experience, the kind of service, the kind of branding. And when that started working, they slowly started adding more. And here's a really interesting example of a company called Dropbox. We've shared a link over here. Dropbox is a file sharing service They began, you'll see over here, there's a link. Have a look at this video later on. Dropbox began without even a product. They just made a video vision board of what they wanted this product to do. What is a video vision board? They like a vision board of what I want to be or what I want to create. They made a video of what, when their product is completed, what it will do and what it will look like. And just based on that video, without even having a product in hand, they raised funding and started their development work. That's a great example of agile. So, what happens is we don't know where to begin. Any idea, any vision, any project, we don't know where to begin. When my son Dhyan wants to make something out of Lego, this is how he begins. He goes, he opens his box of all his Lego parts and he just takes them out and actually he dumps them on the ground. He just puts out everything that he has. And then he'll pick out from that and he'll start creating something. That is how you and I can begin a project, by creating something called a product backlog. What is a product backlog? It is just a list of all the ideas, all the thoughts, all the tasks that you have in your mind that you think will need to get done. You can just write them in a list, or you can write them in small sticky notes like this and put them on a wall. Just do a mental download. By the way, this is also quite connected to the work breakdown structure that we did in the first day. That work breakdown structure, WBS, is a tool that can help you to make a list of all the tasks. So, we get very overwhelmed because where do I begin? Which is the right task? The idea of backlog sheet, of this thing called a backlog sheet, is don't worry where to begin. Whatever ideas are coming, just make a dump of them. Write them down. Make a huge big list. Okay. And then comes the brilliant part. Once you have that list in place, this huge dump of ideas, then you take up a few ideas that you think are the most important that you want to begin with, or maybe that you think are the most easiest ones that you can begin with. And then you work in a sprint. So, what is a sprint? You run for 100 meters at your max speed, but it's only 100 meters. You don't run 42 kilometers at your max speed. The idea is that you make this backlog list of all the things that you want to work, all the little tasks, and then pick up a few of them and then work for 1 hour or work for 30 minutes and try and get something done. So a sprint is a unit of time. You just select a few tasks from your big backlog list and you work for one short burst and you try and create something that approximates what you finally want to create. Maybe just a sketch, or maybe some working model with sellotape and with hot glue guns and staplers, or if it's a blog that you're making, just a sketch, an outline of the blog, or maybe if it's a recipe, just some important elements of the recipe coming into place without the detailing. So that's why it's written, you deliver something that works only 20%. Now at this, I want to, it's such a simple process to create this backlog and pull out a sprint from it. I forgot that I have a friend of mine, Dhruv, who has used this backlog brilliantly in projects that he's done. So I'm going to now invite Dhruv Chaudhary, to share how he has used this concept of backlogs. Dhruv?
Hi. Can you hear me?
A little louder.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the projects that we worked on during the enterprise fellowship was the Catapult project, which was basically this toy made out of MDF, which we reverse engineered. Now, basically, we had to make a sellable working product in 7 days at the beginning. And we just made use of whatever resources we had and all the time we had, and did a bit of jugaad, and we came up with this particular prototype. This was our first stage. We sold this to people who we knew, and we asked for feedback from people, and also we tried to analyze our product and see what problems we can solve. Then we made this product backlog sheet with Adi. So you can see we have listed down all the ideas that we have. like problems and their solutions. We have also sorted them according to their priority, what needs to be solved first. So, for example, this toothpick thing, the wooden toothpicks were hurting kids while they were making it. So we had to solve that first. So this is the second stage of the product. We put plastic toothpicks in it, and also a few changes like make the launcher thicker because the launcher layers are breaking off. So we did that. See, you can see the change in the launcher. There's a big change. So like that, we kept on iterating, and we were able to create this DIY kit with like a proper packaged box and everything. So we kept iterating according to whatever feedback we got from people, but we always had a product to sell. We were never stopped because we didn't have something. We always kept iterating, and we kept putting our ideas here, and new problems keep coming up, and so we kept solving them, and kept adding more. So agile played a huge role in this project. Yeah.
It's it may look a little bit overwhelming, but it's actually very simple. It's just a list of ideas and improvements that they created after making their first prototype. All right, let me go back to the presentation. Thanks, Dhruv. It'll be great if you can share a few screenshots on the group so everyone can have a look at it in their own time. All right. So one concept under Agile is to create a backlog sheet of all the ideas, a mental download. The second tool that you can use in Agile is to work in sprint. Now, this is really useful whether you're working in a team or even personally. The way you can apply it in your life is just to work in, let's say, 30-minute blocks. Divide your day into 30-minute blocks and work in those 30-minute blocks. For each 30-minute block, pull out a few tasks from your big backlog sheet of tasks and get those done. It could be 30-minute blocks, it could be 1 hour blocks, as you wish. The third idea that we want to share with you all is have stand-up meetings. So when you begin your project or your vision, though at first you might want to have a long brainstorming, a long meeting, which I'm calling here an ideation meeting. From that, you create a mental download and a whole list of tasks, which becomes your backlog. Then you have a quick sprint meeting. Now, if it's alone, you're doing something, it's just your own sprint planning, which means you take out 2-3 tasks from that big backlog and you make a sprint task list. And then you work in one sprint, which could be 30 minutes or 1 hour, or for somebody 2 hours, or somebody may say, I will work till dinner time. That's a sprint. You define your sprint. And then after the sprint, you have some trial and test, and you see where you've reached, you reflect, you take feedback, you make, and then you decide the tasks for the next sprint. So it's sprint 1, sprint 2. After a few sprints, you may want to have a backlog review. You might want to look at all that huge task list that you have, what has done, what do you feel is now no longer relevant, some new tasks that need to get added to that. And then once again, you pull out from that and create the next sprint. It's a very simple and a very powerful way of working. If you're working in a team, have these stand-up meetings between sprints. We do that in our space all the time. When you stand up, firstly, you're more alert. You can give each other high fives. And secondly, you end the meeting quickly. That's the most important part. Here are a few tools that we want to share with you. You can explore them on your own and research them, which will help you to improve your personal productivity and apply Agile in your personal life. One is something called Pomodoro method. You can just search for Pomodoro method. You will find plenty of videos and plenty of apps. It can, whether you're a student, whether you are a solo professional, whether you're a business person, this can really help increase your productivity and still stay cool. The other tool that we want to share with you is something called Kanban boards. So a Kanban board is a Japanese methodology that has been developed, started in the manufacturing circles. And it is a simple way of organizing your list of tasks, right? So if you look here, this is our Kanban board of the Explorathon topics. So you'll see there is this one column of ideas. I've called them ideas. These are session ideas. Then there is a column of work in progress. These are sessions that we are currently creating. And then there are sessions which are ready to air. And then there is a column of sessions which have been aired. That's it. This is a Kanban board. And you can check out this app called Trello. Those of you who haven't yet ever come across, and even if you have, check Trello out. It's something that can really help you to manage your tasks and your Kanban boards really simply and really effectively. Right? So Pomodoro, Kanban boards, we've spoken about backlog list. And we want you to remember this idea of what's your next version. You know, begin with the first version of your idea and then take feedback, and only after that think about what's the next version. So here are a few examples of Kanban boards. Okay, basically it's a list of to do, which is your backlog list, what is being done currently and what is done. That's it. You can put this up on your wall. You can use it in an app, or you can have a whiteboard and do it on that. But it's really powerful to be able to implement. And then here's a little picture that I want to share with you of a vegetarian sushi workshop that I did for a group of my mother's friends. What I wanted to tell you, and the reason why I wanted to share this, is that I didn't plan this workshop as one big project. It just began by making vegetarian sushi at home with my family, and then experimenting a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And then finally, when that opportunity came, I was able to blow it up into a big project. So you never know where a little thing that you begin with, it can go to. That's what we have for you today. Now there's a very simple and beautiful project that we want you to do. And to explain this project, I'm going to invite my friend Cece. We all lovingly call her Cece, from Raipur. So Cece, would you like to come on and explain what you have already done this morning, and which is a suggestion for all of us?
Hi Adi, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So Nisha actually gave me a very interesting project today in the morning, and the moment she gave it to me, I was quickly ready to do it. Since after lockdown, we have not been able to go to our work. So she gave me an idea to make a workspace for myself at home. And Adi is sharing screen of the work that I've done. So I think before starting, I'd say this is the most interesting, useful and fastest work activity that I've done so far. So this is so what I did was, I wanted to create my own workstation. So I just went, selected a wall, and used sticky notes, made my Kanban board on it. And so I made those 4 yellow sticky notes that you can see. It says backlog, then then to-do list I made, and then the things that I was doing, and
Done.
the things that I had already done. So when I started off, so ideally what I did was, so I picturized the kind of workspace that I wanted, and the kind of workspace I always wanted. So in backlog list, I had put up all the things ideally I wanted to have in my workspace. And it started with, where I wanted it, the kind of light I wanted, the kind of, table I wanted, stationery, notebooks, design, smell of the place, everything that came up in my head. And then I put an alarm for 30 minutes, and I decided that no matter what, whatever I had, in 30 minutes, I'm going to create one workspace for myself. And so I started off. So when I started off, I already have a table with me in my room, but then that was not working out for me. Since, the problems that you have while you start working is, you want it to be a perfect place. So since I always wanted it to be a perfect place, was the reason that I could not, put it up all together before. And since, the problem that I was facing was that I wanted to have time to create my own space. So these are certain problems that, the excuses that you make while making it. But since I had limited time period, I decided that I'll just put up things I have together. So I found a table that which was there in the storeroom. I got that, and I picked up my notebook. I got my stationery. I just, used the perfume I wanted in my workplace. And there's this painting that my sister has made. I just got it and, put it up. I made certain quotations and put it up all together. So in 30 minutes, I saw that something was created. Now I'd like Adi to show the workstation that was created after 30 minutes. So this is what I created, and I did not have a chair, so I've used my footrest and cushion as a chair. And this is the place I'm sitting and talking to you guys right now.
Wow.
This is what I created in 30 minutes. And while I was doing it, there were certain things which were not there in my backlog sheet, but, I started putting those things up together.
Beautiful. Isn't this space looking so cute and cozy? Now the point is, she's repeated several times 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, CC is a practicing lawyer in Raipur, and right now in the lockdown, she is working from home. Now, one of the mistakes that we make when we work from home is we don't create a designated workspace, which means we are not able to get in and out of the working mind space. So do this as a project, 30 minutes, identify a little space and create your little home workspace, and then create your Kanban board in your home workspace. In case you already have a home workspace, create a Kanban board and make improvements. 30 minutes, run a sprint of 30 minutes and create your home workspace. That's the project idea that we have for all of us today. I hope we find it useful. I just want to end this with a simple thought. That's the great artist Picasso sitting on his chair without a shirt and beginning a painting. And what strikes me is that even a great artist like Picasso has to begin a painting on a blank canvas with one single stroke. So my dear friends, take 30 minutes, whatever is your vision, whatever is it that you want to create, take 30 minutes and create version 1. And the project suggestion for today is to create your home workspace and a little Kanban board for yourself. Thank you so much. That was what we had for you today, the agile mindset. Please take a look at some of the content that we have posted in units in the Facebook group, and see if you can find some time to take 30 minutes and do the activity.